Hi guys, so for this discussion I chose to do the college football team that is in season. So just like if they were training in the weight room, they'd be doing high intensity, low volume for the in season for maintenance. So we'd focus on those same training parameters for speed and agility, focusing on high intensity and lower volumes. So I would have them do these speed and agility exercises. I'm going to show you. I'd have them do these before the exercise starts, right after the warm up. So for speed and agility, it's not that taxing on the body. So that's why I would have them do it before exercise, before the training session, because if they were to do it after the training session, then their body would be a little fatigued and then they wouldn't get the best results out of these exercises. So I would have them perform these once a week, like I said, after the warm up and before the training session. I'd probably have them do it on a Wednesday since they're in college, they're playing football on Saturdays, so that would give them a couple days to recover from the game and then give them a couple of days to recover after the training session. The reason I'm only having them do it once a day is because again we're in the maintenance slash peaking phase. So depending on this part of the season that they're in, so we'll say they're in maintenance. So we just want to maintain them. We don't want to push them too hard. We just want to make sure they keep what they have. So that's why we're doing the once a week. And also when they're in the weight room, they're going to be focusing on power a lot with that high intensity and low volume. And since power is a key aspect of both speed and agility, we'll be indirectly working on speed and agility in the weight room. So that's why I only see the need to work one day a week on specific speed and agility exercises. So like I said, these would follow the warm-up. So the warm-up would consist of just a general warm-up, then some dynamic flexibility, and then we go into kind of more sport-specific warm-up, where since we'd be running, we'd be focusing on like mechanics, so like A skips, B skips, stuff like that, just to get the athletes ready for all the running and moving that we'll be doing. So for agility, for the first one, well, I chose to do a change of direction exercise, a maneuverability exercise, and a true agility exercise where reaction time is being measured. So for the pro agility, I chose to do that for change of direction. Pro agility is commonly used in the combine and just different training situations for football players. It's a really good one because it focuses on acceleration, deceleration, change of direction, which are all very common, very necessary tools in the game of football. So that's going to be the one I choose for change of direction. For maneuverability, I'm going to do the T-test. Again, so the reason it's maneuverability is we're focusing on transferring from sprinting to shuffling to backpedaling. So we're working on a few different modalities within that test. So again, shuffling, moving laterally is important in football. Obviously sprinting and accelerating is. And then if you're a defensive player, backpedaling is very important. So we'll work on there. And then for the true agility test, so focusing on that reaction based, we're going to do what I just called the reaction drill. And I'll explain what that is later, but that's a good one because it's good for like a running back or a ball carrier if you're trying to find the hole in the line to run through. Good for an offensive lineman to be able to move and react to pick up the blitz. Same thing for a defensive lineman, it's important for them because if they want to be able to move and shed a blocker, anticipate that, and same for a cornerback, just adjusting to the wide receiver's route. So for pro agility, I would have them do 4 sets, 30 seconds of rest in between each rep, and I'd have them do 2 reps per set. So a rep would just be going to the right and opening to the left to start. So one rep going each side is a set. You do that 4 times. For the T-test, I'd again have them do 4 sets, just 1 rep, so 1 time through, and again 30 seconds of rest in between. And you would be alternating for the T-test, sprinting and shuffling to the right first or to the left first. But again, 4 sets of that, 1 time through being a rep. And then for the reaction drill, same as the T-test, we would just have 4 sets. One time through would be 1 rep, and then you'd have 30 seconds of rest in between. So after I get done talking about the agility exercises, I'll go into the speed part. So the first exercise that we would do is the pro agility. So again, very common. To start, you'd have the athlete straddle the center line. And again, to set this up, you would have 3 cones or lines all 5 yards apart. So you would have them straddling the middle line, and again, it's important for this to have them start in a 3-point stance. So for now, I'm going to start with my right hand on the line. So that means that when I start, since my right hand's on the line, I have to open up to the right and move to the right first. So how this works is I would then start, I would open up to the right and move to the right. I'd open my hips, turn my hips. It's important to get your hips around as quick as you can, pointed toward your destination. So since I'm going to the right, opening my hips up as far to the right as I can, get them even with the line over there, and from there I'm sprinting as fast as I can over here. It's important when the athlete goes, since they're in the 3-point stance, you want them to stay low. You don't want them to pop up here and sprint over. You want them to start, you want them to stay low, keep that center of mass low. That just helps with acceleration. So once you get over to this right line, you're going to want to touch the right line with your foot and your hand. Some people say just the foot or just the hand, but I like to have the athletes do foot and hand, because again, it just helps them transitioning back, running over here to the other side, and again, it just keeps your feet under you, keeps that center of gravity low. So when you start here, you'd sprint over, you'd have the athlete touch the foot and the line with their hand, and then they'd propel themselves over here, get a forceful push off of this outside foot. Again, telling the athletes to kind of push the ground away. Again, when I push, since I'm running back to the left over here, I want to turn my hips, get those angled as fast as I can to the other side, keep my center of gravity low, sprint over here, and again, touch the outside, or touch the line with my outside foot and hand, turn my hips back to the middle, and then sprint all the way through. So a few important things is when they're sprinting back through, you want them to run all the way through the line. You don't want them to jog up, you want them to sprint all the way through. When you're transitioning in and out of your turns, you want to keep the athlete's feet under them to keep that center of gravity balanced right under you. And then again, when you're pushing off, you want to focus on telling the athletes to push off, push the ground away from you in the transitions. And then one other important coaching cue is that when you're turning on either side, you want to always face the direction that you started with. So if I start here facing the camera, I'm not going to want to come and turn my back here. I'm going to want to be facing this way the whole time. So again, just to kind of run through it, I won't do it full speed, but you would start, you could say go, you'd sprint down, tap here, 5 yards, run all the way down here, 10 yards, and then sprint through the middle cone. You can kind of make this a true agility reaction based. If to start, the athlete doesn't go on their own, cue, they go with an instructor saying go, or something like that. That way they have to react to that. So that's kind of everything about the Pro Agility, kind of the coaching cues and how to do it. So the next one would be a T-test. So again, the Pro Agility was for change of direction, and the T-test is going to be for maneuverability. So this isn't going to be set up to scale, but how it would be set up is you would have, obviously, the cones or whatever you have set up in a T. So you would have the starting cone, you'd have 10 yards up to this middle cone, and then you'd have 2 cones on either side, 5 yards apart. So it's 10, and then 5 and 5. So how the T-test works is, again, the athlete can start on their own, or you can have the athlete start when the coach says go. Just kind of work on that reaction based. But however you want to do it, the athlete would start, they would sprint up to the middle cone, and from here, like I said earlier, they have 2 trials of either starting, shuffling to the right or to the left. I'll have the athlete choose however they want to do it, as long as they have 2 opening to the right and 2 opening to the left. So the athlete's going to start with their foot behind the line. You say go or they go, they sprint, and once they get to the middle cone, they're immediately going to drop, and they're going to shuffle, touch this side, again with their foot in their hand, and they're going to shuffle, all the way to this side, and they're going to shuffle back to the middle, and then backpedal all the way through. So a couple coaching cues, again, focusing when you're starting Starting the test off, and when you're going in and out of your breaks, you want the athlete to stay low. You want them to fight the urge to stand up right away. You want them to focus on staying low and gradually standing up. So over here again, you have the athlete start, they would sprint up to the middle cone. So from here, you don't want them to start shuffling standing up. You want them to be down here. So when they're shuffling, they're nice and low in that athletic stance. And again, when they're shuffling, you never want to have the athlete's feet come close together, because from here, it's really easy to get thrown off balance. On that say we need to accelerate this way, you'd have to do a stutter step in order to get there. But if your feet are wide, you can just move from there. So again, if we're start shuffling to the right, we would come up and we would shuffle again, keeping the stance no narrower than shoulder width apart. We would shuffle as quick as we can, touch the line with our foot and hand. And again, it's kind of the same for pro agility. Some people say just the hand, some say just the foot. I like to do foot and the hand. So from here, you're staying low on your break, you're shuffling all the way back to this side, touching the line with your foot and hand. And again, staying low to get to the middle. And this is, I think, the most common mistake, or not mistake, just kind of coaching cue that kids don't do is when they get here, they'll stand up right away and start backpedaling. But once they hit the middle cone, you want them to stay low in the back pedal and be pushing off the ground. So that's kind of the coaching cues. Again, kind of the same cues for pro agility. When you change direction, you want to tell the athletes to focus on pushing the ground away from them, staying low in and out of their breaks, and just moving as fast as they can. And again, probably the main error here, the athlete will stand straight up for the back pedal. You want them to stay nice and low. And again, backpedaling all the way through, all the way through. And obviously I wouldn't have, a wall right there. I would have open space so they can backpedal without worry of obviously hitting anything. So that was the maneuverability. Again, we do 4 sets of that, 30 seconds in between each set. So the next one, we would do the last agility test would be what I just call the reaction test. So how this works is, again, this is true agility because you're focusing and it's a reaction-based test. So, just reacting on what the coach says. So as you can see, there's 3 alleys here. So you'd have the athlete start about 10 yards back. And on the coach's cue, they'd say go. The athlete would then just sprint up as quick as they can toward the middle alley. And then when the athlete gets about, we'll say about 2 yards away from the alleys, the coach would either say left, middle, or right. So let's say the coach said left. Probably when the coach would say left, I'd have to react, break down, and then move over and run through the left alley, and then sprint 10 yards through to the other side. So again, for this one, a lot of athletes, they'll be super tentative. They'll kind of jog up and be anticipating before the coach says anything. We don't want that. We don't want the athlete to be thinking. We just want them to react. So you just want to tell the athlete to just sprint as fast as they can and just react. Simple as that. So again, I'd be sprinting as fast as I can. He'd say right, I would react and go to the right. And I would run through that right alley and then sprint through. And a lot of kids too, they'll come up here and they'll say right, and they'll do a bunch of stutter steps and then go right. You want to tell the athlete to take as few steps as possible. So here, go right. I want to just try to plant and go. I don't want to shuffle, stutter step, and try to just plant and go. But like I said, so for the main kind of error that kids do is they'll jog and they'll jog up to it. You want them to sprint up to it so that it's a quick reaction. They're not thinking, they're just reacting. So again, this would be 4 sets. Again, 10 yards back, sprint through, react, go through an alley, and then sprint 10 yards up through the drill. Excuse me. So those would be the agility tests that we do, again, after the warm-up and before the exercise session starts. So like I said before, we're only going to be doing 3 agility tests and 2 speed tests, just because in the athlete's training session, they're focusing on power, which is a big component of speed and agility. So that's why we're only doing 3 agility and 2 speed. So for the 2 speed test, we'd be doing a push-up start, and then we'd be doing an acceleration test exercise, starting from the position that the athlete would currently be in to start the play. So for the push-up start, we would do 3 sets, 15 yards, about a minute of rest in between each set. And then for the accelerations, we would do 3 sets of about 40 yards. So kind of like a 40-yard dash, but we're starting from the position that the athlete commonly starts in. That one too, about a minute of rest in between each rep, or each set, excuse me. So these 2 speed tests, they're focusing on maximum speed and acceleration, because obviously you could argue that those are the most 2 important speed aspects in football. You're always focused on how quick you can break away from somebody, and once you're broken away, you don't want to be caught. So there's where that max acceleration and max speed comes in. So I'll get these out of the way. So again, so for the push-up start, this is I've seen this a lot in different training programs, but yet it's commonly done incorrectly. So how you would go is obviously you would have them start with their hands on a line, and then you would have them sprint 15 yards up. So you'd have them start in a push-up position. So obviously you want them to start with their chest on the ground, feet back, toes curled up, just like you'd be at the bottom of a push-up. So from here, when the coach says go, the basis of this is to just get the athlete to get up and sprint through the line as quick as they can. So if the coach said go, I'll show you the common error first. A lot of kids, they'll push up, but they'll push straight up. So they'll push up, and they're just focused on standing straight up before they start running. So we don't want that. We want the athlete to focus on, while they're standing up, to be moving forward. So you're kind of moving forward while you're getting up. 2 birds, 1 stone kind of aspect. So how that would look like is down here the coach would say go. I start pushing up with my hands, but when my hands are pushing up, my feet are pushing forward. So the coach would say go. I'm pushing up, but I'm dragging my feet forward, pushing off, and that helps me accelerate in that direction. So again, you want the athlete to focus on pushing their feet forward while they're standing up simultaneously. So again, not standing up straight and then sprinting. You want to start sprinting low to the ground. And then obviously, like speed or like acceleration, you want to focus on staying low to the ground throughout this drill. So you can say go, start pushing forward, standing up, and then you want to stay low for as long as you can. So again, once you stand up out of that push-up position, you don't want to stand up right away. You want to stay low and gradually stand up. So that is the push-up start. And then the next one, last speed one, would be the acceleration from the starting position of the athlete. So what I mean by this is it's pretty much just a 40-yard dash, again working on maximum speed. But let's say you're a running back. You would start, a lot of running backs start from this position. You'd have them focus starting from this position. If you're a receiver, you would have them start in this position. Linebacker might be doing this, cornerback, lineman, however they would start a play, that's how you want them to start this drill. So again, this can either be done by the coach saying go or the athlete just going on their own. So I'll just pretend I'm a receiver here, so I'd be in this position, and when the athlete decides the coach says go, the athlete simply just sprints as fast as they can through the 40 yards. So again, a couple coaching cues that you want to focus on is the start. So you want the athlete to start from here and not have any false steps, we like to call them. So for example, a false step would be go, the athlete takes their back foot and kind of resituates it to then go, or again, the same with their front foot, they'd say go, they move their front foot, not making any positive progressive movements with it. So we're going to eliminate that false step. So from here, the coach would say go, and you would just push off forcefully with his front foot. No false steps, just go, boom, in there. So you want to focus really on that aspect. Powering through, pushing forcefully, not wasting any time doing these false steps. So after they got that down, you'd say go, and again, you want them to start low. Push off, push the ground away, stay low, and gradually stand up. So at about halfway, you're straight up. So then you're here, so start low, and as I go, I start to stand up slowly. So you're going to do 3 sets of that at about 40 yards, about a minute of rest in between. Again, the main thing in there is just eliminating the false steps and staying low until about halfway, then you'd be standing straight up. Again, that works on maximal speed, maximum acceleration. Like I said, those are the 3 agility and 2 speed drills that I would use for my athletes. Again, higher intensity, lower volume, just since we're in the in season and maintenance part of the program. Thank you guys. Oh, and then if I were to do something different, or what I would do different for another program, is let's say we were doing the off-season soccer program, I would have them do obviously more reps, more volume, and I would also be able to focus then more on mechanics. Since we have more time, we'll be able to do more exercises, focus on mechanics, teaching proper form and all that, and that's what I would do differently for the other programs. And for soccer too, I might focus more on, different aspects like more lateral movement or stuff like that. So where the same, I probably would use different drills obviously because there's different demands on football and soccer. So yeah, so again, I would focus more on form, more volume, and then different exercises. Thanks guys.